Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show, highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyles, community, and neighborhood. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house.
Good morning. Welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Hey, Dorothy, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be hitting the 6th month of the year. Hard to believe we're going to be halfway through 2015.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's been an unbelievably busy and quick year, especially in our real estate business. Moore County has become a very vibrant, very active community with many transactions, many people moving and transferring into Moore County, and we've made it a point this year so far, and when I look back, to spend a lot of time talking about the real estate market. A couple of weeks ago, we had a show on modular homes. We've had lenders and attorneys on, other real estate brokers, trying to give the public a little bit of information about what's happening in our market today and where we're going. One of my guests this morning is no stranger to Moore County. A lot of people know him, Jess Dishner, who is the president of Dishner Developers. It's a construction, development, and real estate company. And Jess, you actually are here today to talk with us about a new venture, a venture that you are very much involved in, Woodhouse, which is a timber frame company.
Yes, it's great being with you, Bill.
Yeah,
I've had a chance to meet folks with Woodhouse, a timber frame company, last couple of years. I've done some projects here and some projects up in the mountains, up in Banner Elk and Blowing Rock and Boone area, and actually came familiar with them and the quality and the variety of design of their homes up in the mountains.
yeah.
And just felt like here in the Sandhills we meet so many people that come from all over the world to come here, and many are looking for something a little different. And I found that through Woodhouse I'm able to offer the timber frame construction techniques, styles, and so forth. That it's been great.
How long have you been in Moore County?
Kathy and I moved here in mid '80s, and we have 2 daughters. One was very little at the time, and then our other daughter was born here. So we moved here in '86 and love it.
So you got here 13 or 14 years before I did, but you have a pretty impressive resume where you have seen so many changes in our real estate landscape and construction landscape. You probably have a very valuable perspective. Then how did it get to where you evolved into where you are today?
It's changed a lot. Early on in my career, I really began. I've always loved custom homes, and have been very active through the years with Southern Living as the local Moore County Southern Living custom builder.
Right.
And through that, I've also done a lot with Bob Timberlake. And Bob Timberlake he did a collaboration with Stephen Fuller out of Georgia.
Right.
And that's probably where my love for the timber frame look and feel is what Bob Timberlake has done. So for years I was his exclusive builder here in the area. In fact, we built several, but one big one out in Beacon Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people may remember that we built for Bob Timberlake and Pepsi and Winn-Dixie, and it was actually given away as a promotional home. It was about an $800,000 home.
Yeah.
It was really nice. And but that look and that feel, what I learned is there's a lot of people looking for that, and so I felt like that's maybe an area I could target. One, because I just loved it.
Right.
It's one that I personally, my own house has a lot of the timber frame elements. And Kathy and I we moved here from Phoenix area, Phoenix, Scottsdale. So you see a lot of that element of that type construction there. And I felt like I wanted to see that here. And so we've done a few things out in horse country, out in Youngs Road and some of the areas there for barns. That's perfect for what Woodhouse does. And so I'm able to meet with couples and design and look at the look and the feel they're after. And so that's just been perfect. And then what I'm finding here recently, and why I'm excited that to really enhance my relationship with Woodhouse, is the military coming in. I'm finding a lot of the, not necessarily all young, but some of the younger military guys and ladies with special ops. Recently just met with a couple of military a major, a lieutenant colonel, and there's that look and that feel of wood and all that they like.
What is it about Moore County, from your perspective, that offers so many lifestyle choices to people, because they look at Moore County and they want a specific look, a specific feel, and isn't that something that Woodhouse offers, that lifestyle presence?
It really does. I'm fortunate. I'm living in my 29th home. My dad was a
29th home.
29th home. He was a career Army officer, and I was an Army officer myself for a while.
Right.
And so traveling around, so I've been fortunate to see a lot of different lifestyles and different parts of the country, parts of the world, and I feel like that's what people are they're bringing that to Moore County. They're coming here because their love for the area, the climate.
Right.
They're close to the coast, they're close to the mountains.
Right.
And so I'm meeting them, and they're wanting something special. They're wanting something a little more customized, and that's what I feel like Woodhouse has to offer through their architects, through their design personnel. It's great.
So with your perspective, which I respect, I mean, can you even quantify, in the 30 years you've been here, how many homes you have been involved in construction, either as a direct builder or as a partner? I mean, Can you even put a number on it?
I've actually kept tabs of that. I'm getting
Have
close,
you really?
Getting close to 500.
Really?
Of custom homes, and then I should say projects, and some of those have been early on. We did the Forest Creek Clubhouse. We built that a number of years ago, close to 20 years ago.
Right.
And then the Foxfire Clubhouse, to just most recently some of the gotten into more commercial buildings as well. And what I'm finding, even with some of the commercial buildings, they're looking for, even though it may not be a complete timber frame package, it may be some elements of the timber frame that the timbers that they look for.
Yeah, let's introduce Jeff Baker, the Vice President of Woodhouse, and Don Downs, the Regional Project Manager here in the Southeast. Guys, good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
How are you, Jeff? Good morning, Don. Good. The layman will ask when they hear timber frame, is that a log cabin?
Usually is the first question that we get.
Isn't it?
It has a lot of the same feel. It gives people the same sense of permanence. It's a very different look, and the ability to create an enclosure, a shell, a shelter for a family that's far more energy efficient and yet has the beauty of the wood is kind of the magic behind a timber frame.
Right. And today, we have lots of new homes being built in Moore County, and a lot of the builders are under pressure to meet a price point to satisfy the demand of some of the young buyers that are coming into town. And what you're talking about, though, has more architectural detail, more texture.
That's right. That's right. I think what people are looking for is today. Our experience has been that more clients are looking for a quality of home, a sense of the permanence, an heirloom product, something that they can pass along.
I like that heirloom product.
And, the strive for larger is better is seeming to disappear finally from the landscape, and we're seeing more people are really embracing quality and equating that to a quality of life than ever before.
Right.
For your customers, for your listeners rather, who are not really familiar with timber frame homes, the construction method is really, it's like if you consider the Amish barn building technique.
Yep.
So it's the big wood beams and posts, and it's all held together with wood joinery and wood pegs, like a piece of fine furniture, actually, only in the scale of a house. So you get the beautiful framework of the timbers, and then we enclose them with insulated panels that give it remarkable energy efficiency. So that's something in a timber frame home that people, will be amazed at their heating and cooling, how affordable it will be.
Yeah, you mentioned the pegs. It's interesting. When I lived in Pennsylvania 35 years ago, I got a custom bedroom set from Hunt Country Furniture. Are you familiar with them?
I am.
Are they still in business?
I'm not sure, but they made the kind of furniture that's still around for sure.
It's still my bedroom set.
Yeah.
And you can see where the pegs were put in, how everything was almost like soldered. It's so beautiful and smooth. There are no nails.
Mm-hmm.
And it holds up. Today, you look at the set, and it like you mentioned, Jeff, it's got like an heirloom feel to it. It's a rustic look, but it's as solid as a rock.
Yeah, timber frames have been around. They're actually the longest standing structures in our history. So we're going back thousands of years.
Yeah.
And the first buildings that were ever constructed, once we figured out how to shape tools, are timber frames.
Where is Woodhouse based out of?
We're in the northern central part of Pennsylvania, Mansfield, Pennsylvania.
And you build all around the country?
Actually, all around the world. We've been pretty far afield, but the United States is our primary stomping ground. How
did you and Jess and Moore County and North Carolina all get together?
I think it's about quality. The kind of quality that Jess is trying to introduce to the area is just what we're fortunate to be able to do every day, and it seemed to be a really nice fit, a nice marriage.
Have you had a presence in North Carolina, Don? Because there are some areas of our state, especially up in the mountains.
Exactly. Yes. Mm-hmm. We've been active really throughout the state, but the mountain area, the timber frame product is very popular around Asheville, Boone. Down in the Highlands, Cashers area. So we've done a number of projects around there, but then scattered throughout the state too, because anywhere that you have people who are looking for a more custom product that has that strength and stability of the timber frame, you don't see them as much like in just a residential neighborhood, but someone who has a piece of property, perhaps a horse farm, or just a place in the country, something on a body of water. These are the kind of places throughout the state where timber frames will be found.
And Jess, how does that translate into Moore County, where you have more buildable lots in neighborhoods as opposed to the expanse of large lots, except perhaps horse country?
I see what I've found what I've learned is a lot of people here in Moore County love the mountains. It's a 3-hour drive, and Kathy and I have been taking our daughters there again for close to 30 years, mainly to Banner Elk. So I've specifically looked at that area and gotten to know the realtors, the developers, and folks there in Banner Elk. So we're right now working with Woodhouse, working on design for a couple of projects in Banner Elk.
Okay.
So what I think, there's a lot here that want to get in the car on a Friday afternoon and go up for a long weekend, go up for a week, and so we're designing that weekend getaway cabin, small lodge, that sort of thing, for people to go up and experience the mountains and experience this type of home, and then maybe put it back into a rental program. So it may be where someone owns it outright. It may be where they decide to get together with close friends and maybe 2 or 3 or 4 couples going together on a small cabin. But that's just we find a lot think like that, and so we're going to I have my real estate license as well, and so we're actually be marketing it that way. We're going to be doing the concierge service, all those sorts of things to make that easy and fun, and a way to just sneak away for the weekend, enjoy the high country, get away from the the summer heat. To go up, it's about 4,000 feet elevation, 4,000 to 5,000 feet elevation there. And so that's where I think a lot of folks in Moore County will enjoy kind of taking a look and and keeping in tabs what we're doing together up there.
So do you think the focus will be more constructing homes outside of Moore County?
It'll actually be both. Here in the area, the main ones I've been working with lately have been more barns, equestrian estates.
Right.
And again, going back to the military, there's many, like I think Don said a while ago, they're looking for that 10 acres, 20 acres out in the country.
True. That's so true.
And something that's simple but durable and long lasting, and it just seems to have that feel for that that family, the ones that have dog coming in and horses, and it seems to often attract that type of lifestyle.
How does the timber frame home look differ from the very popular craftsman style home that we are seeing so much of now in Moore County? You've got stacked stone, you've got beveled pillars, but there seems to be a real consistency. A lot of people are building craftsman style or craftsman inspired homes.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Bill. The folks that really inspired and created that craftsman and mission style look, Green and Green Brothers, Frank Lloyd Wright, names that a lot of people know.
Right.
Timber framing was their focus. And so how does a timber frame home differ? It can, from the exterior, look exactly the same as your next door neighbors. Walk through the front door and you'll have a much different feel. It's not always rustic. In fact, quite often it's a more polished feel to the home. The craftsman and certainly the mission style were just that. They were very clean lines and just absolutely beautiful with a lot of texture and warmth because of the wood.
Right.
But from the outside, it doesn't necessarily need to or want to look different.
Gotcha.
We will at times bring some timber elements to the outside, quite often, in fact, to enhance the exterior look of the house so that we take away sort of that vanilla feeling.
Right. Go ahead, Don.
We've, we talked about equestrian structures and so forth,
right.
But we can't forget we're sitting here in the golf capital of the world. And, there are a lot of residential golf communities in Pinehurst and Southern Pines throughout Moore County.
Right.
And, so these homes certainly are the kind of things that really throughout the country that you will find on golf courses as well. And it can be, as Jeff said, it'll blend into any architectural style, any neighborhood, but on the interior, you get the more open spaces that a lot of people like these days, open floor plans.
Right.
And
but when you say open floor plans, you're not talking about racquetball court openness. You're talking about architectural lines and details with beams that sort of separate open areas.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like the great room, living room, dining room combined into one flowing space,
right?
Which is what we're seeing people really liking these days, rather than what you saw in the, through the 60s and 70s, where there was a formal dining room and the family found they never used it.
Right.
With timber framing, because actually we don't have any interior load-bearing walls, we're free to go with a very flowing floor plan, and often, large windows and areas of glass, so you can really bring the outside in.
The pictures on the brochure, these are beautiful homes. They make me want to just move right into one. They are absolutely gorgeous. They're breathtaking. We're going to come back in the second set. We're going to talk a little bit more about Woodhouse with Jess Dishner, Jeff and Don, and talk about the nature of construction. Lots of details, lots of questions that we have. This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back.
Hiring out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Ooh, if I had If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the
Welcome back to All Things Moore County, speaking with Jess Dishner from Dishner Developers and Jeff Baker and Don Downs from Woodhouse, the timber frame company. Don, you've had 18 years of experience in the industry, both as a carpenter. You've had a lot of, but all with timber frame homes.
I've been working exclusively with timber frames since 1997.
Okay.
Before that, I did remodeling and general construction. I was a carpenter.
Okay.
The first timber frame home I ever worked on was over in Rowan County. This would have been in the mid '80s.
Yeah.
And it was a home that was built in the early 19th century. And it was a timber frame, and I was involved in the restoration of that home. Back in those days, timber framing and log, or actually solid masonry, solid brick.
Right.
In North Carolina, those were your three building methods. There was no stick building, until after the Great Chicago Fire is essentially when
Right.
the 2x4 method of construction that's so prevalent today was developed.
Yeah.
So that was a real eye-opener for me, working on that house and seeing the craftsmanship and the way the timbers were joined together and held with wood pegs, and it kind of sparked a love affair that continues to this day.
So between your 18 years in the industry and Jeff, your 30-plus years in the industry,
Yeah,
you
we
guys
won't go too much further than that.
No, we don't want to. We don't date people in our
Thank
show.
you.
This is not
Appreciate
TV; it's radio. But so as we get older and as we evolve in our industry, as Jess has, you wind up gravitating towards the things you become passionate about, things that you become committed to, as opposed to just a job. Right, Jess?
Very much so. That describes how I wake up every day.
Right. Yeah, you're a lucky guy. You really are. But you mentioned stick-built homes. Help me out on a timber frame home. How is it built differently than a stick-built home, or is it different? And just the whole process of the construction.
It is very different, Bill. The majority of timber frames are crafted in a shop in a controlled environment. Most of the companies today are going to work on computer-driven machinery, so the accuracy is incredible. The craftsmanship is still there because every piece we still touch in the shop and we still give it some additional love. The enclosures are, as we've mentioned previously, are incredibly energy efficient. Everything being pre-cut in a shop, pre-fit, and then shipped out to the site to be erected on the site. The quality, we're talking about structures that are designed and built to last for hundreds, thousands of years, not tens of years.
So is it, it's not an on-site location where you build it in a controlled environment?
Yes, that's correct.
And then do you assemble it? Is it?
It is assembled on the site. Every piece is pre-cut, pre-engineered, and so when it comes to the site, it's basically simply a matter of putting the pieces together.
Right.
So it's very quick on site. And this is something that works out well for builders, for local
Right.
contractors like Jess,
Right.
because the time that they have to spend in the weather, in an uncontrolled environment is minimized, since most of the work is done in our shop in Pennsylvania,
Right.
and then the materials come here. You can have a house, 2,000 square foot house, dried in and insulated in less than a week.
Wow. Jess, it sounds like your perfect client would be an engineer who likes great outdoors.
Very much so. In fact, we all just recently went to a great trade show down in Atlanta, and you meet people one right after the other at these trade shows that are just very, you used the word passionate earlier, that are passionate about timber frame, passionate about this look, the way it's done, the heritage of how it's built, that sort of thing. So many times it is. And many times it is an engineer, someone that really cares about that, and many times it's couples that have spent a lot of time researching it and they've made the decision that's the type home they want. And so that's what I'm enjoying, is being able to, team up with these guys and offer that here in Moore County.
Is the insulation properties of a timberlane home different from a traditional stick-built home?
Yeah, it's significantly different. The product that we produce is going to be, in essence, the enclosure, the structure of the building.
Right.
The rest of the building is very similar to any other custom home. The finishes and so forth are the same.
Right.
And the exterior shell of this is really the magic that makes a timber frame work for most clients. Equate it to building a Coleman cooler, if you will, and it's a complete wrap of the house in a unbroken insulation that is very high quality and energy efficiency far above and beyond what most are accustomed to.
When most people think of a timber frame home, you have visions of vaulted ceilings, lots of air, lots of space to heat and cool. Specifically, how are these homes more energy efficient? Because it looks like there's a lot of open space to temperate the climate with.
Well, the exterior shell is going to be a panelized system, so that it's both the structure as well as the insulation. It's a foam insulation, a very high quality foam insulation. It's unbroken by pieces other than the windows and doors that go all the way through the wall. So it's virtually impenetrable, and the resistance to heat and cold is well above that of most homes that people are familiar with.
Jess, these homes are on crawl spaces?
Either or. Crawl space on a concrete slab. Many in our areas, if it's a walkout or a sloping lot, perhaps a walkout basement. All that can be planned. So the foundation is engineered, planned, and ready for when the materials arrive. And one thing I might add that to me has been very good is I'm able to work with our exact same subs for framing, electricians, plumbers, HVAC, all those sort of things, that during the framing stage there's actually a representative of Woodhouse that comes down and is right there with us while we're framing, is a part of that whole process. That's been a great asset.
Because of the extreme engineering that you do, my guess is you don't have as much waste on materials as you would on a normal home.
That's exactly right. You won't have the large dumpster on the site, filled with scraps. Our plant is essentially a zero waste plant. Wow. The few lumber scraps that we do have are, given, people can, and when we're talking small things, but it goes for firewood, and sawdust goes for animal bedding. So everything is used.
So if it's built in a controlled environment, we had a show a couple of weeks ago on modular homes and some of the misperceptions about modular homes. How is a timber frame home different from a modular home?
Well, the modular home, one, is a home built off-site and trucked to the site and then reassembled, the different components, because the whole home would be too large to take across the road. In our situation, we are focused on the enclosure of the home. The balance of the home is going to be built on site specifically for that client. We are not trying to transport finished materials and a finished product, as you will.
Okay.
And a modular home actually, because it is more of, as Jeff said, more of a finished product that's being built elsewhere and transported to the job site and assembled. There's very, very little for local Moore County contractors to do. We are not taking really much labor away from Moore County.
That's
as
wonderful.
Jess said, he can use the same plumbers, the same electricians, the same foundation crew as he uses on any other house on a timber frame home. The similarity between a modular home and a timber frame home would be in the precision with which they are both built and the way they are both built in a controlled environment in terms of the structure and so forth.
Okay, Jess?
So really, when the framing process ends, just like on any home, when they leave, then the windows and doors are in. It's dried in. So at that point, we're bringing in our subcontractors to do the rough ends. Again, electricians, the air conditioning and heating guys, plumbers, that sort of thing. But from that point, cabinets, tops,
all the same,
flooring. That's just something that the selections are done that I would do directly with our clients. And many times that's kind of the fun part. Many times we're using unique, maybe reclaimed materials.
Right.
It seems to be maybe more distressed cabinets. It's that sort of look that kind of enhances the timber frame look.
Okay, we're going to be back in the third set talking more about the timber frame company Woodhouse with Don Downs, Jeff Baker, and our Moore County friend Jess Dishner from Dishner Developers. We'll be right back.
Everything will be alright. You say, use my body for your bed, and my love will keep you warm throughout the night. Well, I'll never be a stranger, and I'll never be alone. Wherever we're together, that's my home. And you tell me everything will be alright. You say, use my body for your bed, and my love will keep you warm throughout the night.
Welcome back to our third and final set, talking about the timber frame company Woodhouse. Jess, what your plans are, you're not going to be building neighborhoods of timber frame homes. This is a specialty construction company.
Absolutely. It's really about the couple that are a person that's looking for quality, something unique, something that's special, that really identifies how they want to live and what they want to come home to and enjoy every day with their families.
So I'll play devil's advocate a little bit with you. Here in Moore County, we see home sales increasing every year, but we don't see the average price increasing. We are working here with a lot of military transfers and young families, not as much as we would like to see of the people who are retiring and coming here as their second home, golf destination. So there's been a lot of pressure on pricing. Builders are under the gun. Everybody thinks builders make so much money. And just the opposite is true these days. They are building as much as they can to accommodate the specific demand of the young buyers who are coming in. But you're talking about an upper echelon type product.
Yes.
And pricing would be a different animal.
Very different. It's a different client. It's someone that really is looking for something special. It's not something that you would just see as a standard product. It's something where they come, and many are very educated. Like we mentioned earlier, they're coming to me, calling me specifically. I feel like I've probably tried to differentiate myself as being, quality and a quality builder, and so I think they're coming to me looking for that type of TLC, that type of selections, that type of design, all of that. That's what I'm finding.
So some of the custom homes that are being built in Moore County, and in specifically some of the gated communities, top drawer homes today, 150 to 180 a square. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, and traveling across the country, Bill, I find that there's a tremendous spread of square foot costs, and it's really hard to identify that. But from what I understand from talking with several builders in this area, and their typical cost, I would say you're probably pretty close. You go out to Lake Tahoe, and we see a much different number. bantied about.
Right.
Just came from Jackson Hole on a project, and they're talking about $400 a square foot. So really depends on the part of the country what the market will bear, but also the level of living, so that your contractors that are in the area that are building these products are able to live in those communities.
Right. And actually North Carolina, and Moore County in particular, one of the more affordable areas in the country.
I'm moving here next week.
Right. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's very impressive. The homes that I'm seeing, the quality that I'm seeing is really very impressive.
Right. And that hasn't changed even since 2008, when we've had a shift in values and there have been some corrections. The one thing that remains the same is that Moore County is still offers such a great value to so many people who are coming here,
That's my
retiring
sense
here.
of it. Yeah,
isn't it? You've been all over the country.
Well, I live in upstate New York, and I'm seeing a lot of my neighbors packing up and heading in this direction. So you're going to have a lot of really nice friends for you soon.
We have a lot of people here from New York State. Jess, I'm sure you've worked with many of them over the years.
I sure have.
Right,
Yeah.
Rochester, Buffalo.
Yeah. Rochester is home for me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to what you mentioned about price. Many times that comes up right away. You know, people are very quick to tell me their budget. In fact, Don and I are working with a lady right now that she's got a certain budget for today, but she's got land. Some things she's wanting to do. So I was on the phone with her yesterday, and so her thoughts were to maybe do a timber frame design for her detached garage with a great studio apartment above it. So her thoughts, she's a single mom, and so she's looking at doing that, living there for a while we will design the rest of the house, but that may be a year from now, 2 years from now. But she's got the area where she can do that. And so to her it was more important to maybe not quite have everything she needs today, but she wants for long term, that's her plan. So she'd rather spend what she can afford today in that design, knowing that she'll be right back with us within a year or two. And it's that kind of flexibility, that kind of design that I like to do.
One of the things you just said, Jess, that really struck a chord with me is long term. We talked about transient couples that are, forced by their business to be moving a lot, and they're probably not going to be looking at a timber frame because it is a higher quality product and longer term. And what I find a good percentage of our clients to be are the young couples that truly understand what it takes to build a house properly. They're building a house for their family for years and generations to come, that they're actually talking about leaving this to their kids. Families that are in their late 20s, early 30s are looking at how can we build a quality enclosure, quality home, and we'll add the granite later. We'll make some sacrifices today for a better home for our family later down the road. And it's kind of nice.
Ask both of you guys, all three of you, this question: are the maintenance requirements on a timber frame home much different than a traditional home? No,
it's typically, I'd say, very similar. It's not a home that requires special maintenance, and there's so much variability. It's very dependent upon the finishes you choose. With stone and hardy plank type products are very popular. The low maintenance siding on the exterior.
So it's not wood necessarily.
No, it's anything you want. We've done it can be brick, stone.
That answers the question.
Anything. So the maintenance is dependent on the choices, and the same as a conventionally built home in that regard. And same's true for the architectural style. Really, we can do most anything. They're not all rustic, woodsy lodges. We've done contemporary, modern homes. We've done very, traditional colonial styles, like you might see in New England even. So it's a lot of variability.
Which, by the way, that New England look translates very well down here. Jess, right?
Very much so. Absolutely right.
That's it. It's no longer just a southern community. We have a lot of Northeasterners, New Englanders, Midwesterners.
They're going to know timber framing because that's what those colonial homes in New England. That's how they were built.
Is that right? So I love the expression, Jeff, that you used before about the home as an heirloom. I'd never heard that before, and I like that because that speaks to the longevity and the quality and the lifespan of a home.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference. I mean, I think back to the homes that were built in the late 50s, early 60s, and it was back when quality really was an everyday part of the carpenter's life. It was, you know, the home was being built by a couple of people, and they really put their heart and soul into it. And that's one of the things that attracted me to timber frame originally was that kind of quality and that kind of permanence to the home.
You guys remind me of the movie Witness with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Remember that movie?
I sure do.
As you're speaking,
Great film.
wasn't it a great film? Because you mentioned the Amish earlier, and I actually lived outside of Lancaster at the time that movie was being filmed. And you watch the process of the Amish getting together, the teamwork, putting that home together. They had everyone from the neighborhood come out, and it was exceptionally well built. That's the impression, the word picture I'm getting as you guys are talking.
And that's still very similar to what happens today on a job site. When we show up with a timber frame, it's an event. The community comes out to see it going on. It's very special.
Right.
The day that we complete, there's a celebration typically. We'll gather up the people that made it possible. We'll gather up the family, their family members, extended friends. It's a true cause for celebration.
Yeah. And Jess, if you have an inquiry from someone who wants to get together with you to possibly build a timber frame home, they can bring you their plans.
Absolutely.
You're not relegated to just a couple of plans. You can work with them just like you have in the past with other types of homes.
No change at all. They literally come in. Many times they've got something maybe out of a magazine or maybe something from a website that they're able to share with me, and it's looking at the overall floor plan, design, and space, and then that's when I get directly with my friends at Woodhouse up in Pennsylvania and just begin that design process.
Yeah, and there is no one else that I'm aware of in the area that is doing what you're doing.
I don't think so. I really, through the years, it's just been something I've always liked and tend to gravitate to, and so I would think not. I would think not.
But people can start their inquiry on your website, www.timberframe1.com.
Right.
And they can go out and they can start to look at some of the. I've not been on the site yet. Is it a very intuitive site?
I think so. We're trying to make it that. We're better timber framers than we are webmasters, probably, but we're learning. And what we're finding is that this is a really fun and comfortable way to investigate what it is that we do. We've got a great gallery, I think. We have really good subject matter, so it's easy to have beautiful photos, and we are able to. We've got a very strong design team up at Woodhouse, and they're designing in 3D today, so that we're able to give people a virtual fly-through of a lot of these homes at a level of realism that's pretty spellbinding.
I'm finding the variety is that's what's been fun for my part. I'm right now working with Woodhouse on more of a lodge, large lodge and rooms, and talking about things like that will be here in the area. We're in the early stages of planning that for golfers to come in and stay short term and enjoy that. But then we're also looking at these really neat little rustic cabins that will be in the mountains, and some will be near a winery. Some will be on a separate site near a beautiful little creek up in Banner Elk. So the difference, and I think we've all said it, of some of the ones that are small and rustic, and yet some that are very sleek and modern and more lofts and those sort of things. I'm enjoying that all those differences that they're able to take care of.
Yeah, one of our real estate friends spends a lot of time up in Banner Elk, Sarah O'Brien.
Oh, sure.
And
that's right. I remember.
She's got a home up there, and she
posts
posts.
in Banner Elk, I believe. I'm almost positive it is in Banner Elk, I think.
Yeah, it is. She's posted, as so many people, they'll post different pictures of their travels on Facebook. And so you think you see them on the street, and you don't. You don't see them for 6 months. but you kind of keep up with their lives and what they're doing.
Right.
And Facebook is a very popular medium to do just that.
Right.
Yeah. You guys, do you utilize Facebook?
We do. We've got our marketing people are forcing us to be there, and I'm starting to understand it, and my kids are teaching it to me. So yeah.
He and I think, come from the same generation. We're doing the very best we can to keep up, right?
Yeah, trying.
It's
Yeah,
just a question of how far behind you are.
Yeah. Well, good point.
And for me, I've got a little grandson and a granddaughter on the way, so I've gotten very good at Facebook and Instagram to keep tabs of these guys.
They're asking a lot of us, to keep catching up and staying current. It's just generationally, it's changing.
That's right.
But the clients that you would be working with, they're not changing. They're of a generation that retiree age, I would venture, not
often
first-time buyers.
Right. That's correct.
So you have the same mindset. So they'll muddle through the website, and they'll muddle through Facebook, and then they'll get to call you and talk to you in person, and you can sit down eyeball to eyeball with them.
I tell you another one that I like.
My favorite, Jeff.
One I like a lot and use a lot is Houzz. Houzz.
Yeah.
That's a great one too, where where they're trying to describe it, they're able to really find a picture and show this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, our industry has a pretty good presence on Houzz and is represented often there. We found that a lot of people, this is a very visual home, and they're going to start to realize that as they travel around, they're seeing more and more of this because we are used in so many different venues. Everything from, as you were mentioning, tasting rooms to, event barns where people are having weddings and gatherings. We are in probably 35, 45 of the better golf courses. Find our structures are creating those spaces. So
that's great.
It's fun stuff.
It also sounds like some of these larger structures and lodges and stuff that you build can actually be more cost effective because of your lack of waste and your extreme engineering.
I tell you what I find, we're actually looking at one right now in the Linville Falls area.
Oh yeah,
for kind of a picture of kind of a boutique hotel lodge kind of flavor there. And to me, what's great is you have a limited building season. You need to be busy right now, and by Thanksgiving, it's getting a little chilly to be be building. So you definitely want your foundation and definitely framed in. So that's the type construction technique I think that works really well for some of those areas.
This brochure is perfectly visual, which it should be. More emphasis on pictures than on words, and you can look at the exterior of the home on the brochure and realize that it just could look like any other home. It's just once you get inside is where you see the difference.
We've done a pretty fair amount of work in tract situations, particularly around where I live, and finding that yes, we'll bring a few timbered elements to the outside, but we still need to blend with the rest of the community to do the right thing for the community. But as soon as you walk through the front door, it's a whole different game, and it's people gravitate towards it.
One of the questions, Jess, I want to ask you too is the green aspect of a timber frame building. We know these are very energy efficient.
Absolutely.
But you can incorporate things like passive solar.
Yes, sure can.
I think some of the things the green movement has had a lot of confusion as to what that really means, and I think it should be a very inclusive conversation of things such as the conservation of materials. We use less wood in a timber frame, even though the timbers are larger. There's less board footage than it would be in a conventional structure. The materials that we use to insulate, the foams and so forth, are very environmentally friendly. We have very little outgassing, volatile organic compounds, VOCs, that people are starting to understand and talk about more.
Yeah, I would bet, Don, I ask you this question, on a lot of these homes that have been built on large parcels of land, many of them would probably institute a geothermal system as well.
Yes, we see a lot of geothermal heat.
Right.
In certain parts of the country, people use a lot of radiant in-floor heat. This part of North Carolina, I'm not so sure that's really the best solution here. But yes, if you've got the option for geothermal, it's kind of like the timber frame itself. That's another thing that may cost a little more up front, but you're going to get a payback from it because it is such an efficient method of heating and cooling.
Right. All right.
There's a variety of species of wood that's used too in the timber framing. That's often a topic of conversation as far as the look, the color, the price, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, we are fortunate. We have a lot to choose from in our industry, and we've with over 35 years of doing this, we've probably dabbled in almost every species and every source of material, from fresh cut to reclaimed from old industrial buildings in the Northeast. We get to work with some pretty neat materials. We work in a lot of southern yellow pine and the oaks and hardwoods of Doug fir. We've even done a teak frame, which is pretty unusual.
You guys strike me as a great antidote to some of the building that's going on around here these days. You seem, as a group, very committed. As a team, very passionate about the product. And Jess, people can reach out to you directly here in Moore County. Where would they reach you if they had any questions?
Basically, typically just a phone call. It's 910-528-1568.
Right.
And then I typically would just meet with them and see their site, talk about all their thoughts.
And all the information that people need to start the process would be on the website.
Yeah, the website, we're trying to keep it simple for folks that are technologically challenged, like you and I. And so there's I think now 5 buttons, and they're pretty simple. And you hit a button, and it'll take you to Don Downs, and Don will take you to Jess, and everybody has an easy connection. We tried to make it that way for those of us who still try to figure out our cell phones.
Yeah, Jeff Baker, thank you so much for coming and joining us today.
It's really my pleasure.
We're going to have to work on your southern accent, just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm working on it. It's more of a western accent, I'm afraid.
And Don Downs, thank you. 18 years in the business and in one part of the industry says a lot about your belief in the product.
Yeah, it is a wonderful product, and it's a great industry, and certainly appreciate you having us here today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. And Jess Dishner, 30 years in Moore County and 30 years in the industry, and it's always great that you can evolve and move with the times and always be viable. So kudos to you, and
you, Bill.
Good luck with your venture. Woodhouse is a timber frame company. Some beautiful homes. I would say go on their website and take a look, and your mouth will water. These are just stunning homes. Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Yep. This is All Things Moore County. Have a great week.